I have to do?
Oh, no, you're just a little hot.
I'm hot.
Yeah, she is.
That's when you say it. Yeah.
Just
side
your mic level
ponytail.
down a little bit.
Or stop shouting. You need
And
to
it is Alex, not me, right? We're in two different apartments.
Yes.
Okay.
For some reason, this one has the input level really high, so I'm going to change it.
What was I doing? Oh, right. No, I was explaining how I just got like 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of truffle oil served on my side tots.
That's too much truffle oil.
No,
Isn't
it's way too
truffle
much.
supposed to be like rare?
Only truffle oil is too much truffle oil.
No, it's just
I
it
like
was way too
truffle
much.
oil.
A little
I
truffle
do.
oil's
Like
nice.
a little bit.
You know your mistake. It was not going to Wahlburgers.
Well, we don't have a Wahlburger.
Don't go to Wahlburgers. It's not a good burger.
I'm just saying.
As a resident masshole at the moment, I'll tell you right now, don't go to Wahlburgers.
Speaking of resident massholes,
And not speaking of Wahlburgers,
well,
Come
I
on.
mean,
Let's not speak of Wahlburgers.
Sorry, the
Yeah.
subtitle really does need to be the crappening because
the-
that's how it
so yeah, we sent out a lovely notification email that is the crappening. But welcome to You're No Fun Anymore, the podcast where we deal with our nostalgia. I'm Randall.
I'm Dana.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Alexandra.
I'm the resident masshole, Helen.
And oh man, look confused and ask nothing but questions because we are diving into 2008.
What? No. What?
The Happening, or say hi to your mother nature for me.
Ah, so good. Okay, I will allow it. I will allow it as a.
I will also take Philadelphia Treatum or The Secret Life of Bee movies. Yeah.
So bad, guys.
I don't know if any of you guys have heard about this article in the New York Times. Well, apparently, honeybees are just disappearing all over the country. Tens of millions of them. All right, let's hear some theories about why this might be happening. Nobody? You're not interested in what happened to the bees? Excuse all the teachers? The administration makes us teach with a foot of snow on the ground. What is this?
There appears to be an event happening. The first stage is loss of speech.
Claire? Claire?
The second stage is physical disorientation. The third stage is fatal.
Homeland Security and the CDC
has reported attacks. Boston, Philadelphia,
Maryland.
I don't understand what you're saying. She says everyone's dead outside.
What's going on?
We lost contact.
With whom?
Everyone. The affected area now includes California.
Science will come up with some reason to put in the books. But in the end, it'll be just a theory. We will fail to acknowledge that there are forces at work beyond our understanding. Run. Shut the windows and the doors! Here it comes! Could this really be happening?
The Happening, a film by M. Night Shyamalan.
We just have to be alive when it's over.
Rated R.
Content warning. This selected film may contain scenes depicting the following: superfluous graphic violence, repeated suicide, excessive self-harm, brutal gun violence, annoying child murder, mild language, irresponsible parenting and guardianship, dubious casting, excessive questioning, implausible leaps of logic, hot student shaming, repeated emotional cul-de-sacs, inexplicable plot shifts, tubular meat obsession, and obvious first draftism. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Yeah.
This isn't the bad.
Please not ever watch a movie this bad again.
well, number
Please.
one, every once in a while you have to watch a movie this bad just for the fun of it.
It hurts so
Oh.
much.
Number two, I
Dana.
feel like we need to let the audience know how this happened.
it
How it
hurts
happening?
so much.
I promise you that The Happening is not a movie that any of us have any specific
A nostalgic one. I was thinking that the entire time. I was like, why did we pick this fucking movie?
This movie because I thought it was time for an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yes.
And then we made the mistake of picking this one.
Yes,
Fair.
there's so many other ones we could have
We
picked.
should have just done the Sixth Sense.
Whose fault was this? We're not friends
I
anymore.
feel like this was a collective fault because
I
I
think
know
this
I
was a-
suggested The Village.
It was down between the Village.
We were
or
down
this.
for Village,
The
or
Village. Yeah.
I was down for
and
Village.
Unbreakable. Unbreakable would have been
Unbreakable
good.
is
Also
boring.
I will
I
actually
loved
argue.
Unbreakable.
It would have been more enjoyable.
So-
than
I
this.
think we would have been able to get through Unbreakable better than this.
It's really good that all 5 of us are in separate places for this recording. That's all I'm
Right.
saying. Because there'll be fist fights.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I
Um,
was angry, guys. I was so angry. It's why I wasn't like commenting on the text thread.
Guys,
'Cause I was like, I am so angry that we had to watch this movie that I might not be cool if I'm texting them about how
to
angry I
learn to
was.
enjoy the art of watching a bad movie.
don't.
You
Yeah,
need
and
to learn it.
I
Just
couldn't
answer work
actually
emails
watch
on
the
your
movie
phone.
because it was too violent. It was too bloody.
I
and
had
I can't
minimal
handle
hours
bloody
in my life.
movies. So I had to listen to it. So I had to absorb the shitty writing completely like
This was, my,
unobstructed by gratuitous violence.
this was my first time watching this movie.
yes.
And life is short, guys. Don't waste it watching it.
So
Don't waste
is
it
this
watching
movie.
it.
It's
We did
still
other things.
I've seen it twice.
it's still the shortest movie that he's ever done.
This was the second time.
Alex, what did you do during the last half hour of the movie?
I worked out.
Fair enough.
Oh, wow.
I did one of those Jillian Michaels ab exercises through my phone for 30 minutes.
I wouldn't even argue
Still
like
less painful than this.
It was
movie.
less painful.
I think I did
So-
laundry. What did I do? Did I do
I don't
laundry?
remember what you did.
Oh.
Cried.
I kept finding excuses to like go to the kitchen and to
Get
do,
away,
and Randall
go
kept
away.
pausing the
Leave the
movie.
room.
Like
No,
I
you
did
can't
not want
miss
to be in the
it.
same room with this movie. I was so angry
know.
at it.
he kept pausing the movie, and I kept going like,
No,
you
don't need
don't
to
have
pause.
to. It's fine.
You
And
don't
he kept-
pause. Let that movie run.
So I'd have to keep watching it.
I
No.
warned Helen, I was like, there's going to be a scene coming soon you don't want to see. It was the scene with the teens getting killed.
I just
So I was
walked
like,
out of the room.
This was
Just walked right
unnecessary.
out of the room.
That was one of the least
Oh.
disturbing kills.
Yeah, that
like,
one's
Dana from like whatever 5 minutes in, whenever the self
I assume
destruction starts in the park, I was like, I cannot watch this movie. I
Unlike
put my
Helen-
hand up. I tried to do the girl vision,
Mhm.
you know,
girly vision, yes.
but then that didn't even do it. So I just stopped looking. I just turned away from the screen. I could not watch this movie.
See, unlike Helen, I love a good imaginative movie kill. Like, love
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah.
But these were just,
Bloody.
yeah, like
No.
upsetting.
I
They were
do like
upsetting.
good
Upsetting. They
imaginative
were really upsetting. It's because it was like completely emotionless. It was like also like
And they were completely unnecessary.
Well, I mean,
unnecessary,
they're-
gratuitous.
A lot of
like
it is
the
unnecessary.
definition of gratuitous.
Listen, I love
They
Final.
were gratuitous. I don't know if you could call them unnecessary since the whole movie is about
Right.
everybody wanting to kill themselves.
Yeah.
I will agree with
I
gratuitous.
watched I think what I mean unnecessary is the way they do it. You know, like when I watched Final Destination 2, I loved that movie. It made me laugh
The second one?
so freaking hard. It is a comedy to me, Final Destination 2, because everything is so insane.
This one's a comedy too. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
find
my
it that
God,
funny.
no.
It wasn't
No,
that
no,
funny.
no,
Mark
no.
Wahlberg's
No.
acting is a joke.
Hi, Plant. How are you, Plant? Say hi to your mother for me. Come
Yeah.
on. That is a
I
comedy.
think a lot of the actors in this, and we'll get to this, is like
Poor
they-
Zooey Deschanel.
I watched.
Oh, she
come
was
on,
awful
she's
in this
really
movie.
bad.
No, she has no sympathy from me.
No,
She chose
it
to
was.
be in this.
Yeah, it was also just like, why are you doing your quirky, adorable?
You know I don't like to talk about my emotions.
Also, how
I
is
believe manic pixie dream girl is the term you're going for. 'Cause
no,
that
this is
also
depressive
No,
pixie
this is
dream
just
girl.
like-
This is
Okay,
depressive.
but how is not showing your emotions any sort of basis for a movie
Yeah,
character?
well, there's a lot of deleted scenes in this that kind of explain.
No,
that.
do not tell us
no,
about
no,
the
no, no,
deleted
no,
scenes.
I
no.
kind of want to hear about
There's-
the
We
deleted
didn't even set the year yet,
Yeah,
guys.
all
and
right,
we're
so-
already in it. We didn't
so-
even have like some fun chatter in the beginning because we were so hot.
This movie.
I'm just gonna put this bee butt pin on me and be happy.
There you go. See, lots of bee stuff. Actually, this year the year is 2008.
It's about the bees.
It's
Yeah.
about the bees.
It's about the bees. You can't talk about 2008 without mentioning that the ongoing financial crisis that was created by the
Thanks.
by an irresponsibly over-leveraged Wall Street would be the largest economic downturn since the Great Depression, and American pop culture, of course, at this time, reaches into its cupboard for its favorite comfort food, publicly pillaring famous young women.
Whee!
In January, after years of unyielding tabloid vitriol and a recent divorce, Britney Spears would be hospitalized and placed under the infamous conservatorship of her piece of shit father and other parasitical family members.
But tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, this also prompts the fucking hilariously tone-deaf Rolling Stone cover in February, The Tragedy of Britney Spears. Like they didn't have a fucking hand in all of
Exactly.
this.
They really did.
Randall, this isn't a Britney Spears podcast.
It is not.
No, it isn't, but that's fine.
We're not watching Crossroads.
I'm here for
It
it.
should be. Randall, do you want to start a Britney Spears podcast? Because I will start one.
There's plenty. But of course, that's not all. Americans collectively had a giant hissy fit over Miley Cyrus showing her back in a strapless suit underneath a sheet in one shot of a series of Vanity Fair photos by famed portrait photographer Annie Leibovitz. The remaining shot was one of her dad in matching jeans and blacktop. Of course, this prompted a laughable amount of pearl clutching from countless talking heads and writers and cable news, and the most famous being an entire front page goddamn New York Post headline. 2 words, Miley's shame. Oh, America, never change. Oh, hi, kitty.
They're making out. Looks like they're making out.
They're
Aw.
so cute.
Just grooming each other.
Speaking of puritanical nonsense, this would also be the year where Disney teen pop trio, the Jonas Brothers, would go on record about their so-called purity rings.
Oh, God.
To Details magazine, calling them the symbols of the, quote, promises to ourselves and to God, we'll stay pure till marriage.
Nice.
Kevin Jonas is my favorite. It's a Tiffany ring that he covered in punk studs. Barf. Yeah, just wow. In environmental news, the U.S. Forestry Service would open up about 3.4 million acres of pristine wilderness in Alaska's Tongass National Forest to logging amid massive protests. But as one of the last several fuck yous from an outgoing Bush administration, they kind of got glossed over because, you know, giant financial crisis. Moving on to art, famed French painter, sculptor, and filmmaker Fernand Lévert.
You do this to yourself every single time, Randall.
Is it Lévert?
Every time.
You know, you choose the things that you put in here.
You could have talked about flip phones, man.
It's true. But no, he's having a really big moment this year. There was a portrait of his 53 years after his death that sold for several millions of dollars. But he's often considered the forerunner to the pop art movement and famously attended the Beaux Arts. That's how you say that. He famously attended, the Beaux Arts school?
Mm-hmm.
As a non-enrolled student after being rejected. He spent 3 years there and said it was the biggest waste of time in his life. His noted 1921 painting Woman and Child was discovered missing this year from Wellesley College, who actually owned the work. It was on loan to Oklahoma City Museum of Art until April of the previous year, but they didn't discover it was missing until the renovation this year at the Davis Museum. There has been massive speculation about what happened to it. Either the crate was destroyed or it was thrown out, but no actual account can be corroborated, leading to a massive infighting and CYA by museum staff and its own director. To this day, it still remains missing. Starbucks by 2008 has expanded to the breaking point from the aspirational, quote, third space kind of cafe to basically a public restroom that serves nonsense sugary drinks. In order to nip this downward reputation turn in the bud, Howard Schultz returns this year as the CEO in January, and his brilliant solution was to shut down all 7,100 plus stores across the United States for 3.5 hours of training, costing an estimated $6 million in loss to learn how to make an espresso. Yeah, that ought to do it. Thanks, man. This, of course, was mostly a publicity stunt, but it did create the idea that the, quote, visionary business head would get the company back on the right track. And it mostly worked, you know, just years later, not before it actually announced it had to close over 600 more stores and firing thousands of its employees as the stock hit its lowest point this year in nearly a decade.
Yeah, so did everything else.
Yeah, but they were already on a downslide. The attitude towards this coffee giant was best summed up in the other 2008 film, Role Models, where Paul Rudd says, quote,
Venti is 20. Large is large. In fact, tall is large, and grande is Spanish for large. Venti's the only one that doesn't mean large. It's also the only one that's Italian. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
I love that.
We could have watched Role Model. That movie's hilarious.
Role Models is a great movie.
That's an entirely different genre, guys.
Speaking of films, This is the beginning of the end, as it would see the introduction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which would end up dominating all of cinema for the foreseeable future. This would also see the master of B-movie elevation, James Cameron, have the first of his polished genre films enter into the National Film Registry, as 1984's sci-fi bone crusher, The Terminator, would be put up, along with other notables this year, including Sidney Lumet's masterpiece of spiritual death and isolation, The Pawnbroker, John Borman's Hicksploitation Delight Deliverance, that warned us all of the dangers of city folk wandering into rural areas, and of course, Elia Kazan's A Face in the Crowd, the story of a young talent whose rise to fame is completely derailed by his own ego and arrogance. And finally, in sports, the Philadelphia Phillies would win the World Series in Game 5, and that would be the actual only game in World Series history to be postponed mid-game by rain and then resumed 2 days later. This is the first time the Phillies had even made it to the World Series in 15 years, and their first win since 1980. So, of course, the city of brotherly love celebrated the only way it knows how.
Throwing batteries.
Oh, yeah, by drunkenly rioting until sunrise, setting fires across the city, flipping cars, looting stores,
pools,
resulting in 76 arrests and numerous hilarious cell phone videos of a citywide mayhem that still delight to this day.
Throw a parade, guys. Don't burn your city down.
Oh, they did it, but it was like a week later. But yeah, and speaking of Philadelphians capturing mass hysterics on video.
Welcome to The Happening.
Good one.
June 13th, 2008, The Happening opens to actually a solid number 3, taking over 30 million its first weekend, going up against the second film in the nascent Marvel Cinematic Universe, The Incredible Hulk. Yep, which took 55 this weekend. Last week's holdover, Kung Fu Panda, just eked out over it with 33 million. Keep in mind, M. Night Shyamalan, he had a lot to prove because this is immediately after the disaster that was Lady in the Water. So he wanted to show that he really could actually...
See, I didn't suggest Lady in the Water.
Oh, no, that one's
which
terrible.
I don't think we could have even made it through. We would have
never seen it.
It's really bad.
To see it.
It's real bad. It's maybe the worst.
Small mercies.
This one actually is still fun. And it was still like panned critically, but audiences showed up because it made 64 million domestically and over 163 million globally. So it showed that he was still like maybe not a bankable blockbuster maker, but he was still a bankable filmmaker.
It's a name, right? It was the name because everybody was so
well, it was also
blown away.
What is The Happening?
Guys, he still is. Like people still go to see
you
his
all
movie.
still want to see his new movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see his new movie.
Don't do it.
I'm not
This
gonna
is
see
also
his new movie.
mostly
Didn't he
because
do the Avatar movie that really
that was
There
immediately
was no
after.
That
Avatar
one was
movie. I don't know what
horrific.
you're talking about.
That might
Yeah.
actually be the worst.
That was
That's
actually
because that's
his
unwatchable.
career lowest critically.
Yeah,
Because
that one was so.
that was
I
such a
couldn't make it
shame
bigger.
because that cartoon was phenomenal.
The mistake being that they let him write it.
Don't let him write it. He's such a bad writer. The
Yeah, he's
writing
pretty
in
bad.
this, like, the idea isn't half bad. And if it were like properly,
so pretty
executed.
Now
It
I
could
just
have
have
been
I'm gonna
interesting,
pepper
you
throughout
know?
this entire recording just the what? No.
What? No.
Here's the
It's so bad.
thing is,
That performance is so good.
the story actually has merit, and
That's what Helen's saying, yeah.
the problem is that Stephen King had just written and released a book that told the same story, except it's cell phones instead of trees.
Yep.
And it was actually very readable.
Yeah.
It was very
Well,
good book.
because
It
it's
was
Stephen
smartly
King and
told.
he knows what he's doing.
Well, also
Right, but that it shows that the idea actually did have promise.
Yeah.
If it was put into the hands
the-
of someone that knew how to write.
right.
Wait, and Stephen King didn't constantly like take cell phone footage of plants and decide that that was the scary thing.
There's so
You're
much.
hiding a mother for me.
There's so much telling and so little showing in this
Oh, yes.
movie. Like,
And
it's so
the weird math riddle
so dumb.
that they got the math wrong on.
So dumb.
I mean, not like completely wrong.
John
but, like,
Leguizamo,
yeah.
why, my friend?
So dumb.
Oh, don't be like
John
like,
Leguizamo abandons his daughter to like
Well, he
a
doesn't
clearly
think-
dysfunctional couple.
He doesn't think he's abandoning her.
Oh yeah, he does.
Okay,
No, I don't think he does. I think he thinks he's going
They're
to
in a
find the right.
crisis, Dana. They're
All right.
they're
Yeah.
evacuating a city.
I mean,
They've
if he
been,
took
like-
her with him, she'd be dead.
okay.
And but
What?
What? No.
That was the only line of any sort of like meaning and pathos in this entire 90-minute movie where he was like, don't take her hand unless you mean it.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And it's
only
so,
line
like-
of any worth in the movie.
And it's so like,
But it's so weirdly said in such a weird
it's so
situation.
delivered
It's comical.
in such a kind of like
Yeah.
heavy way that it takes you out of it.
You're like,
it should
oh,
be-
it's an actor in this movie. How did he
it's
get
an actor.
here?
I know John Leguizamo is like really
There are two
trying his
actors.
best.
There are two actors in
There's
this
a
movie.
lot of actors.
Betty Buckley works hard.
Yeah.
In
Betty
those,
Buckley works
two
real
scenes
hard.
that she's in. She
Yeah.
works super hard and is clearly mistaken about the kind of movie that she's in.
Yeah.
Okay, the only moment of happiness that I had while watching this movie was when I recognized Victoria Clark, the plant wife. We'd recently just seen her in
She's on Broadway
Kimberly
right
and
now as of
Akimbo.
recording.
Oh, nice.
And,
She's
like,
good too.
She was amazing, and
She
it was
had like
exciting to see
one
her.
wine, I think.
Yes,
I know, but she looks genuinely terrified. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yes.
And then you get the whole like,
Which might have been just like, what the fuck am I doing in this movie?
Yeah.
But
yeah, Frank Collinson, talking about hot dogs for a while.
Great.
That's always
great.
fun.
You
See,
love
this
hot
is-
dogs, right?
This is my okay. Now I did like kind of dive into a lot of this because in recent years, I'd say over the last like 5-6 years, a lot of people have tried to rebrand this movie as an intentionally bad movie.
No.
Lies.
What? No.
And
Lies.
here's the thing. I remember watching this in the theater.
Me too.
And I enjoyed it mostly for the kills because I was like, the massive ad campaign that they were doing for this was all about like what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
all these things that are happening. And they show basically the first like 2 minutes uninterrupted
Yeah.
of all the goriest, weirdest kind of stuff. And then that's supposed to drive your interest, which it does.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting kind of way to see it, but there's a lot that's just like wrong in the way that this movie is put together.
A lot.
So much.
Everything.
But there are certain
All of
parts,
it.
and like this is why I'm saying like it's not a bad movie the way I enjoy a good bad B movie because there's earnestness behind a good B movie.
Yeah.
Where I don't feel like I honestly I'm confused at why this exists.
See, I feel like I can enjoy it on the same level that I enjoy Birdemic.
No.
Okay, but like
I know that Birdemic is much worse.
So bad.
that's so tongue in cheek, and this doesn't have that sense.
But it has Mark Wahlberg.
I hate both of them for different
Oh
reasons.
yes.
I could not for a second take it seriously with Mark
No.
Wahlberg, and everyone makes
As
fun
a
of
science
this, but
teacher.
as
the
a science teacher. We all know Mark Wahlberg failed science in high school.
The best Wahlberg I've seen like recently is Uncharted.
Oh, yeah.
What? No.
Because he's like playing the like washed up action
That's
hero
a sweet spot.
That's still
He
to
plays
his
himself.
in a sense, right?
That's a sweet spot.
It's good.
I mean, he said in interviews afterwards, he was like, he was just glad not to play like a cop or a criminal.
That's where
somebody
he
actually
excels.
cast him in something outside
That
of it.
he needs to take a Sly Stallone
Yeah.
Oh, he did
view
that.
of his career.
You should just do the fighter over and over and over and over.
Know
and
your
over.
like wheelhouse
Mhm.
Yeah,
and work it,
And
know?
lean into it.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a reason why Liam Neeson does a very good job in
Oh.
several movies in which he is the Taken guy.
I mean,
He
Liam
knows his
Neeson
niche.
is actually a good actor,
Yes.
though.
Yeah, he's a good
No,
actor.
Liam Neeson is a fantastic actor and he can do a lot of things, but Liam Neeson is also very good at
Well, I
it.
think Liam Neeson is smart enough to know that he can make bankable movies in
Yeah.
addition to
Totally.
the art stuff.
That's
Mark
true.
Wahlberg, I really truly think that Mark Wahlberg thought he was giving a good performance.
Oh yeah.
I
you know
truly
what?
think that.
If you look at it from a certain perspective, he's actually trying.
Mhm.
He is
He
trying.
is.
Which-
He's trying to be like the sensitive guy, right? He's
Right.
trying to be like the sensitive, empathetic teacher, husband, whatever, figure.
My favorite part is when he's like, think about it scientifically, douchebag.
It hurts. It hurts. It hurts.
Right.
I will
So my problem with M. Night Shyamalan is my same problem with Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Whoever they get to cut their trailers
Yep.
is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And I always tricked into thinking maybe
This is
this
gonna be
one
better. It's gonna
movie
be
of
all right.
theirs I
Okay.
will like.
Yeah.
And every time
Yeah.
it's like I walk into the movie theater and somebody punches me in my face.
That's my thing with M. Night Shyamalan, though, is that it's not every movie. Some of them are enjoyable, and he spaces them out by like a decade.
So
I didn't hate the
But
Village.
you don't know which one it's going to
Sixth
be.
Sense is so good.
Sixth
Sixth
Sense
Sense-
is so good. Village is
The
good.
Visit is actually a really solid horror
I
movie.
hear that one's super good, and I'm afraid to watch it because I don't want to be furious
No, it's not good.
again.
It's got some moments that are genuinely unnerving, but it's a decent movie. Split
Okay,
is
but this
actually enjoyable.
I did like Split.
Yeah.
Old made me very upset, but it wasn't a bad movie.
No.
However, the problem is, like Bryce said, I go into every one of his movies thinking this one is going to be one of the good ones. And most of the time they're not.
No.
I like Split, but not for anything M. Night Shyamalan did. I liked it for
McAvoy?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great in it.
He like his back must have been broken for carrying that entire movie by himself.
But I feel that's well, Anya Taylor-Joy wasn't bad in that one.
But like compared to what McAvoy was doing, she could have been
If
anybody.
he has a good actor,
I think that's true of all of his movies. Like The Sixth Sense, as classic as it is, a lot of it was due to Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
if he has a good actor, it carries a lot of the.
And Toni Collette was also amazing. Like, so there were two really good people in that movie.
And he's very good at casting.
Not in this one.
Not this one. Not this one.
No.
Bad one.
So
Bad time.
Not this one. But
here's
most
the
of the
fun
time,
part.
he does cast well.
There's a basically behind the scenes featurette that came out kind of contemporaneously with this film. And basically, once the reviews were starting to come in, he was already on the press releases going, oh, I wanted to make a really expensive B movie. No, you didn't, dude.
No, you didn't.
What? No.
But I think he saw the writing on the wall and he was trying to like hedge his bets about
right.
how this is going to perform. On set, they look like everybody's having fun.
Mhm.
Everybody's enjoying themselves. But it's also like there's a lot of times where you could just catch Zooey Deschanel just staring right into the documentary camera going, I don't know what's happening. Because
Just a little lost, a little bored,
and
a little
and
kind of like zoning out.
one of my favorite bits from watching the behind the scenes, he specifically says in an interview that he went against his normal instincts to cast. So he picked Mark Wahlberg in a non-traditional Mark Wahlberg book. He picked Zooey Deschanel in a non-traditional Zooey Deschanel role. He picked all these people to be against type. And I was like, why, dude? That's like, there's that old adage of 95% of your job is casting, you know?
Well, but he does, like I said, he does cast well most of the time. It sounds like he chose not to cast well.
He chose to
Look,
do
Donnie
that.
Wahlberg was a genius move in Sixth Sense. That was an incredible piece of casting.
Okay,
but
I need to
can't,
duck
like-
out for a minute and get a beer if we're going to keep saying nice things about M. Night Shyamalan.
No, it's not that like so let me break this down. I have 4 little asides on this to kind of figure out why this movie is the way it is. Now, I remember watching in the theater and actually kind of enjoying it, even though I said, oh, this is really dumb.
Yeah, me too.
Watching it now.
Did Signs come out before or
Oh,
after?
yeah. Signs was before this.
Like Signs came
Signs
out and
was
I was like,
awful.
I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Oh, I laughed out loud in the theater.
I enjoyed Signs. I hate Mel
I
Gibson.
heard
but
people who
enjoyed
like Signs.
Really? The last 5 minutes?
No, it was The Village that did me in.
No, the Village is also one of those things where I'm like, nope, I'm done. I remember being in the theater for Signs when that whole swing away moment comes. I start laughing hysterically, and everybody else is looking at me in the theater going, what the fuck is this guy? And I was like, come on, that is the dumbest fucking shit I have ever heard in my life. That's somebody who wrote that down high on like a 6-day bender of cocaine and went, yeah.
But I feel like with Signs, everybody still wanted his movies to be good. Like we gave him the benefit of the doubt. So I feel like most audiences were, at least when you're in the theater, saying, no, this is good. I swear to God, this is good. It really is. I'm sure it's good.
Sure.
And then you get to The Village and it's like, no, all right, we can finally admit this is not good.
No, Signs is the most right-wing piece of propaganda crap.
Is it? I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah,
I don't
it's-
remember.
Well, it shares a lot of the same kind of thing where it's like, okay, so he's in interviews also at this time saying that he wanted to create a paranoid piece, all of the birds, you know, this kind of like, oh, everybody's just in a panic state, the Blob,
You
know.
can tell by the way he like keeps cutting trees blowing in the wind to create this non-existent tension. Like I'm not tense
it's
about
hilarious.
it at all.
Questions about that, by the way. How are the plants controlling the wind flow?
Right.
They're in league with each other.
Exactly.
Right.
They've teamed up.
That does not make sense.
It's all Mother Nature.
That does not make sense. There's the point where the wind is actually chasing them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
guys,
Oh,
but you
that's
just said it was the plants. It's not.
But also,
wind.
that's not how wind works.
It is also not how wind works.
It's not just a wind and then that's it. Like wind is pretty continuous.
Mhm.
I did tell Randall that if he got on a spiel of how great the cinematographer on this movie was,
It's Tak Fujimoto.
shut up. It's real bad. The cinematography is
No,
bad.
no,
This
I'm
movie's
with Randall, though. I feel like his movies are usually very well shot.
Sure, but not this time. This
But
time it was
here's the thing.
crappy and it was
It was
stupid.
ham-fisted. It was really like sloppy.
Well,
Helen
let me
with the
walk through all
real
the
words and
pieces.
me was stupid.
Let me walk through all of the reasons why I think something is wrong with it, and we
Yes.
can pinpoint where it goes wrong.
I think one thing that you brought up though that I think is a big contributor to this is cocaine. Was he like on so much cocaine? Because this
much cocaine.
Stinks of like
He says in
that like
interviews-
3 a.m. cocaine.
Hey, I've got a
idea,
great idea.
You know,
I've got a great idea. We're gonna have the wind. We're gonna have the flowers. They're gonna make you sick.
Absolutely.
They're gonna make you die.
He said in an interview this came to him as like some kind of green,
It was like a global warming
apocalyptic. Yeah, it was some kind of green
While he was on cocaine.
movie. Probably.
Okay, but you know what? Stephen King, when he was on cocaine, like made Cujo. So shut up.
I know,
He
that's
wrote
true.
It. He wrote it while he was out of his mind.
Speaking of speaking of Stephen King, he actually was one of the fans and supporters of this movie. He said that yes, at the time.
Sometimes he makes bad choices.
Okay.
He does. Not all his books
But
are
at the
good
time,
either.
he said he understood the concepts of what fear is. And I was like, okay,
Sure.
there are certain moments
And then he
because it's
made
really
The Mist
hard to.
or wrote this.
I can't completely dismiss this as a complete trash fire.
The
It's
Mist?
just no, this movie.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Because every once in a while you see this glimmer of like, oh, that's actually cool. And then it's another mile slog of turds. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? No.
Where there's a moment where I'm like, ooh, that's a fun shot. But that's what I think this movie is. Like he had a series of visual images in his brain and then just did that. And it was like, I don't know how we get there.
I think that's his problem.
Marky Mark finds a radio in an abandoned car while he's looking for a map. Yeah, sure.
The one thing that we haven't really talked about with M. Night is the fact that at this point, especially, he was still expected to give us a twist in every single movie.
Yep.
And I think at this point, he had started with the twists and then worked backwards, which was a big mistake.
Yeah.
Like, very clearly, to me, his logline was, the plants are the ones that did it.
Right.
And then he had to figure out what that meant.
Oh, you want to know the actual log line for this? That was on
What's the logline for this?
on the posters and in the actual film tagline. We've sensed it. We've seen the signs. Now it's happening.
Gross.
So that's a reference to the Sixth Sense,
And the
a
signs.
reference to Signs, and also "It's happening" was the tagline for Signs.
Oh my god, that's so dumb.
I mean,
I'm even
the
more
most
disappointed.
Self-involved, like
I'm not angry.
He is maybe the most up his own ass.
I'm not
director
angry.
of
I'm
all
just
time.
disappointed.
I'm just disappointed.
Him and
in
Quentin
you.
Tarantino are going to fight about it.
True.
Yeah.
So you have interesting moments.
Yeah.
Like the construction workers where all the bodies fall.
That actually like hurt me. That
Yeah.
really like upset
That's
me.
horrifying.
But yes, and I'm saying like this was an interesting idea, but most people would look at that idea and be like, this is an interesting idea, but it goes too far.
And
it's
it's got like 9/11 echoes.
Oh, yeah.
And
This
it's
whole
so
movie is
like
about, like-
terrifying and
it goes beyond horror into like trauma porn.
totally.
And
Yeah.
he has no respect for his audience.
I don't think he has
No
a-
respect for his characters,
Yeah.
no respect for his audience, like no respect for
yeah.
anybody involved.
Yeah.
To be fair, I had no respect for myself after watching it.
All right, podcast done. There it is. Podcast.
Yeah.
That's
deep.
Oh, speaking of like no respect for himself, Marky Mark has said in interviews before. So Amy Adams was actually in negotiations to do this, but then ended up turning it down because of some kind of financial disagreement.
I feel like Amy
and-
Adams would have done
Amy
this
Adams
better.
would have been way better.
She would have been
no.
better.
Adams would have been
Yeah.
so good.
She would have been great, but I think this would have been a terrible movie for her to be in.
Oh yeah, she made the right
They would have
decision here.
tanked her
Yeah,
career.
Zooey Deschanel can burn her future film career on this trash
Whatever.
because she
She-
never had a future film career.
Yeah, she got New Girl and then she was fine.
Yeah, she was
New
fine.
Girl's great. I love
Yeah,
her.
exactly. She's great in that. This is
Bad.
like way out of her league.
I don't think she knew how to do this right.
I
you
liked
know?
her outfits.
No one could have done it.
No,
This
it
was
was bad.
No, I think
I'm
Amy
sorry.
Adams could have done something.
I think
with
she
it.
could have.
If Amy Adams could have maybe
Maybe not with Marky
but
Mark.
even she would have stumbled over lines like,
What?
you know, I don't
No.
like to talk about my emotions.
I don't know. Amy Adams was in the Superman movies, which were not the best written things on the
That's true.
planet.
Exactly.
And she wasn't bad in those.
And she still managed to carry a lot
That's
of
true.
that.
Yeah.
She was given 0.
Yeah.
I do not think that even Amy Adams could pull off chemistry with Marky Mark. That's the
No.
one place I don't think she could have done it.
Not when he's doing his every line I'm going to say is a question.
Every single line.
Every single one is a question.
Every line.
Why?
I will say,
And
the
like
scene-
Are
he's
you just gonna
clearly
leave
like
me here?
pitching
What
his
is
voice higher.
Yep.
He's like, hello.
That's how you know he's
Why are we
he's
doing
smart.
this?
the scene where he talks to the plant.
I know.
He's
Oh, that's
actually
brilliant.
having
Come on.
fun. No, I was going to say
Yeah,
that is
he's
the
having
only
fun with
scene where I'm
that.
like, he's having fun. He's relaxed.
Absolutely.
He understands the movie he's in for a few
Yep.
seconds there. That's the Marky Mark I wanted to see in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, because in the behind the scenes moments, they're joking around. They're actually like, he's good friends with M. Night Shyamalan, and like you see them joking around, they're having fun, and he's blowing takes, and they're having like everybody's having a good old time, which I think is why there's a certain level of just like weirdness that comes through.
Yes. Yeah. The hot dog scene. Alex, what do you want to say?
All right, quick question. So I was very confused about the locations of this movie.
Yeah.
Does it, Marky Mark, is he based in Philly?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
I think that might be actually why he does the question at the end of every sentence.
No.
Because I have friends from Pennsylvania, and after every single sentence, they have like a slight question.
No.
So I think he thinks he's doing a Philadelphia sound.
No.
What? No.
No, his Boston accent did not go anywhere.
No, I don't think
there.
I don't think he can get rid of his Boston accent, but I think he thought he was talking like a
No, I think it would have been a much worse train wreck if he had tried to do the Philadelphia accent.
I think
spent
he's
a lot of
trying
time
to be
in
sensitive
Philly.
guy, and the only way he knows how to be sensitive guy
is to ask questions,
is to pitch his
Also,
voice higher.
If you
and
watch
to,
his
like,
other
ask questions.
performances, that's how he talks. That's how he acts.
I hate to admit that I saw this movie.
I probably saw it too.
Wait, which movie?
Well, yes, but you're going to accuse me of having feelings and liking fun
Which
comedies,
movie?
and I hate that.
What movie?
Ted.
I saw the movie where Marky Mark and his wife adopt foster kids.
Oh yeah,
That's not a bad movie.
Pretty
No,
good in
and
that.
I liked it, and I liked him in it, and I hate to admit that, and B, he was kind of authentic and light and funny
What
and
was
kind
the
of
name of
sweet.
that movie?
I don't
Is
remember.
Instant Family, I think, something like that.
Because I think that's the one of the ones of his that I wanted to
Oh,
see. 'Cause
shit.
It looked cute.
Did you guys just see that?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
some lightning.
That
Yeah,
was intense.
There's the
That means
thunder.
Rufus is about to
That
lose
was
his
that
mind.
was the Wahlbergs showing
Yeah.
their
Guys,
showing their godly force.
bad mouthing Marky Mark.
and Rufus has left the building.
Oh,
Rufus.
poor Rufus.
Okay, so I saw Instant Family. I liked it. I
I
had
like
feelings
Ted.
about it.
I think Ted's good,
Oh.
you know?
No, I turned Ted off after
I
Oh, I
like
love
20
Ted.
minutes in disgust.
Thunder
when he's doing that
Buddies.
routine. Yeah, when
Speaking
he's
of
doing like the
thunder-
Thunder Buddies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I love Ted.
I could not hate a movie more
When
than I
he's
hated
doing
Ted.
the rundown of like all of the names, and then he realized, wait, does it have a Lynn on it? And then he just redoes it with Lynn at the end of it. He's great at that stuff. Like
Yeah.
he's got really good chops when it comes to like certain community performances,
Yes.
which I think is like some of the timing in these moments is actually good when he's allowed to do it. But then, yeah, you're literally shooting a 14-year-old in the chest with a shotgun.
I
after,
know.
like, banging
So
on some
bad.
dude's house, begging for food. Like it's so weird. And if we're gonna take his whole analogy that this is
It gets
a
really
motif
dark.
about mass hysteria and panic, then apparently his solution is to literally atomize yourself in the middle of nowhere with no connectivity to other human beings, and you'll be fine.
Yes.
Like that's the message of this
But
movie.
you won't be
and
fine
that is
because
fucking-
eventually
No,
like it reaches out to like individuals. So then like
Yeah.
but they
it's just,
miss
it's
it.
just the
then the power of love
pointlessness
saved
of
them.
existence.
The
Right.
power of love saves them because
No,
the
it was just
plants
the time.
understand.
No, that was dumb fucking luck.
The
That
power
was
of
dumb fucking
Marky
luck.
Mark
Fucking
not
luck.
understanding science as a science
Yeah,
teacher.
the whole red tide
Oh.
shit also pissed me off because red tide isn't caught like
Yeah.
isn't like ocean algae trying to fight off.
No,
You know,
it's
It's
a very
caused by
definite-
like
yeah.
warming ocean waters created
Yes.
by pollution, and
Listen.
it's our own self destructions. You know,
Yeah.
it's
See,
not.
if
Mark
this
Wahlberg
would've
doesn't
been-
want to hear your real science.
This is also where the failings of this come in, because they're shooting in locations across Pennsylvania. They
Yeah.
have the nuclear facility in the
Yes.
background. They have all
Yes.
these moments, and then it's just abandoned. And then you
You
go,
could have talked about like mutations caused by like the environmental pollution.
and they mentioned some of it in that whole scene when he's berating his class to think scientifically. One of my favorites when he negs the hot kid to
Yeah.
like think scientifically,
Yeah.
who also is just like oddly singled out and shot. Like he's just in a single shot. Like, was that a pickup? Like, what the fuck was? I don't even know what
That's
was
because the
happening.
cinematography is acting.
But also, don't let him off the hook at the end when you're like, "Oh, I was just kidding." You know, you're gonna be fine.
And then he's like, "Oh, all right."
Boy, like stew in his own juices for a little while.
Wow.
So again, we're gonna go back to why this doesn't work. Now,
Yes.
Tak Fujimoto was the cinematographer of this. We've talked about him before. He shot with Terrence Malick, Jonathan Demme, John Hughes, George Armitage, Cameron Crowe. So that's not the problem here. He's a workhorse, great cinematographer. The editor of this film is Conrad Bluff, Oscar winner He cut films like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back, Ghostbusters, Poltergeist, E.T., Spaceballs, Terminator 2, Titanic, Training Day, and of course the classic Fisher Stevens brown-faced masterpiece, Short Circuit 2. So I don't think he's the problem here. Composer James Howard, 9-time Oscar nominee, Grammy and Emmy Award winner. He composed over 100 films, including Dune, 8 Million Ways to Die, Pretty Woman, Flatliners, Prince of Tides, Glengarry Glen Ross, Grand Canyon, Wyatt Earp, The Fugitive, French Kiss, The Devil's Advocate, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight, King Kong, Michael Clayton, The Hunger Games, and the classic Major League. He also co-produced Irene Cara's album, What a Feeling, and played keyboards on it. So I don't think he's the problem. But then we get to the producers, Barry Mendel and Sam Mercer, who have basically worked exclusively with M. Night Shyamalan. Barry got to start with Wes Anderson on Rushmore. He's also worked with Spielberg on Munich. He did Drew Barrymore's Whip It. He worked with Paul Feig and Judd Apatow on comedies for Bridesmaid and This Is 40 and more. Michael Showalter's The Big Sick, so I don't think that's the problem there. Sam Mercer worked with Spielberg and Frank Marshall as well, but those were Congo and the BFG. He also did The Relic, Sam Mendes' Jarhead, which I like, but it's got problems. De Palma's Mission to Mars, woof, and Stephen Sommers' Van Helsing. So I'm starting to see, all right, there's something there.
What? No.
And with M. Night Shyamalan. So, like,
I don't hate Van Helsing.
I do.
I don't hate it
either, but it is big and dumb.
I slept through Van Helsing.
It is big and dumb.
So I think this was supposed to be a big and dumb movie, but M. Night Shyamalan wanted to not make it big and dumb.
It's big and dumb, but it's not fun.
No,
you
it
know?
is completely not fun.
See, I think that's the problem, though, is that he does this often where he makes these heavy movies that he wants to be light.
Yeah.
So they don't feel as substantial as they should, because he has those moments like the stupid hot dog conversation or the talking to the plant. And then the plant turns out to be fake.
Classic, yeah.
But in the middle of a movie where people are committing suicide every 5 minutes,
right?
The tones don't match, and it just makes it feel very disjointed.
The scene in the diner. So they pull over the trains.
Yeah.
And then he walks over to the conductors and it's just like, hey guys, what's going on?
Why? You're not answering. Why
are your mother for me?
No, they literally answer all of his questions. And then he goes back and is like, they're not answering me. It's like, dude, what? So they end up at this diner in this small town in the middle of like Pennsylvania. And then once they found out, oh shit, it's coming for us all, they all peel out and like everybody abandons, like it's this massive chaos and they all run out. And then there's like this long sequence where they're having these like really close up heart to heart moments, all shot in like extremely uncomfortable close ups with like John Leguizamo and his kid. And it's just like, wait, I thought all these cars were leaving. Like I would have just left him.
Mm-hmm. That Jeep should have taken off for Princeton.
Like, he's having a conversation over there. And then that nice couple who is the nursery couple is just sitting there like, oh yeah, you know, well, we're going to go. It's kind of a rush, but whatever. We'll just wait while you're having this moment.
Right. I don't think M. Night Shyamalan knows how to have more than two people in a scene at a time because everybody else just kind of freezes like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really awkward.
Until they're needed
really,
again.
Really awkward.
There's no explanation for why certain people are able to continue moving when everybody else freezes.
No, because that would require an actual like
thought
in-world head.
They had taken antihistamines because they had like allergies.
Well, yeah, I think it's exactly. Some people get hay fever worse than others.
So
right?
there's that one person in every city.
My guess is that those people aren't affected and probably wouldn't kill themselves regardless. That was my assumption.
But everybody seems to be affected.
I'm going to assume that's me because I don't have any allergies.
You, Bryce.
Oh, I'd be one of the first ones gone if it's
I would be dead immediately.
Yeah.
I would be like just right off a cliff.
Whenever I go home to Montana, there's like cottonwood in the summer that makes it look like snow just fell. And I'm like, oh, this is a delightful, so pretty. And Randolph is getting hives from just me.
Yeah. You know what's funny? When I moved here from Colorado, I had this like break from my allergies for like 7 years and I couldn't figure out why. And then I went to an allergist and the allergist told me I was allergic to all plants native to Colorado and none on the East Coast. 10 years later, my allergies flipped.
Yeah.
It was like New York decided to kill me.
Well,
so maybe it's true.
Your cells in your body regenerate completely
every 7 years.
Yeah, about 7 years, and your allergies kind of follow around the same pattern. So I used to be like really, really allergic to horses, and now that's not an issue.
Good thing, because we're riding horses to the subway platform all the time.
Yeah, where were the
my
horses?
own skin is constantly torturing me,
Yeah.
so.
Have you all just tried not being allergic to things?
Fuck you, Bryce. Just fuck you.
I've tried very hard to not be allergic to
Get
things.
the pine cone. Just fuck you.
What? No.
This is also my question. Okay, so everybody's like leaving by train and cars and doing, sticking to the roads and doing this. Like, somebody out here's got to have a fucking horse, and you could just ride.
Just
like,
ride the horse.
yeah,
Yeah,
get the fuck
good
out.
point.
But horses can't outrun the wind,
Aren't you
Randall.
in like Amish country? Can't you just get like
Yeah,
a
that's
buggy
like-
or something?
And that was like, again, it's like, dude, it's so weird that it just doesn't even follow its own logic halfway through the movie.
No, not at all.
It keeps dropping these things like, oh, now it's this. And now it's this. So it's like there's no surprise in any of this. There's no fun or enjoyment in you telling me, okay, now it's the plants, and then now it's this. And
Well, he blows the secret way too early.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, like way too. The second that
there's
guy
no
comes
suspense.
in and he's like, "It's the plants."
It's the plants.
Yeah.
And it's maybe a half hour into the movie, 45 minutes. Like, dude,
It's the plants. I'm gonna deflect by talking about hot dogs.
Hot
but
dogs.
you
it's the
still have
plants.
another 45 minutes of this movie where we could have been in suspense about what this thing was.
Why are
I
we looking
also-
at these swaying trees? How
Yeah.
odd that
I
he
also would
chooses.
just want to re-emphasize that this is his shortest movie that he's ever done.
Yeah, I know.
Shortest. Oh my
91
god,
minutes.
it
The one
felt
we
interminable.
picked.
It felt incredibly long. for
So
what
it
is.
would not end this movie.
The only time that I felt faster was when I was doing my workout.
Well, I made dinner while I was watching it, and that helped a lot.
Laundry, I think,
So-
or maybe I was like fixing something in the bathroom. I can't remember what I was.
I kept trying to do these wise activities, and someone kept pausing the movie.
So we're like 15 years after this. And like I said, there's a lot of think pieces and articles that have been written over the last few years, especially post-pandemic, about what this movie got right. And frankly, no, none of this is right.
None of it. Yeah.
It is a bizarre collection of people that are not human, in my opinion, because no human talks or acts the way
Oh my
that
god,
anybody
totally.
in
They're
this film
robots.
does.
They might be plants in people skin.
Yeah. The only person I actually identified with was Brian O'Halloran, who's Dante from Clerks. He was the driver in the Jeep who slams his vehicle into a tree and dies.
He wasn't even supposed to be there that day.
Exactly.
Nice, Bryce. Nice.
But I like that the things that I enjoyed about this movie the second time I've viewed it was, oh, that's so-and-so from this movie. Oh, that's so-and-so. It's like
I did
was
that when-
completely checked out.
When
Like,
Jeremy Strong showed up,
yeah, right?
I was like, oh, Succession. I like Succession. I'm excited now.
Yeah.
Jeremy Strong.
Jeremy Strong's in it. And also the
He's
principal
the soldier,
is
right?
Yeah, he's a soldier.
Alan Ruck, and they're both in
And
Succession.
Alan Ruck, who's in it for like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Alan Rock
he's-
is adorable. I mean, always.
Yeah.
Did you find the M. Night Shyamalan cameo? Randall had to look it up.
No, I didn't even think about
It was
that. Where is it?
Joey's voice on the phone.
Oh, well, that's not fair.
He's
He's
the
Joey.
voice on the phone of the guy that apparently she's like emotionally cheating on Marky Mark with.
That
which
is my
like,
other problem with
Oh
this.
my god, that was so
The
bad.
fact
Yeah.
that she didn't just have an affair and that her whole freak out was because she ate tiramisu. Clearly, as a callback, he had just watched Sleepless in Seattle.
guarantee you that's
Absolutely.
exactly what
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yep.
It's
And
just fucking
fuck you.
tiramisu.
So bad.
It's just tiramisu.
Also, why are you acting that weird? Because then, like, it's
This is what
supposed
I'm
to be
saying. Like, you're acting like you had sex with him. You might as well have had sex with him.
Right.
I genuinely thought, okay, there is something going on with her, like mental faculties. There's something going on. She's not quite like connected emotionally like other people
Yeah.
are.
So in one of the deleted scenes that was removed from the film, thank God, was Marky Mark and Zooey Deschanel having an argument. They break up.
I thought you were gonna say
And-
sex, and I'm like, oh god,
No.
What? No.
So they have like a fight and they break up, but then that's why it was supposed to be awkward when he's like, "Oh, well, she agreed to come with me," which like it's not necessary. Like it's one of those things where again,
Oh God. So it's like Midsummer.
yeah, it's it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you think that this means character, but like if you break this down, she literally has nothing to do but watch after the child.
Mm-hmm. Well, because she's a girl, of course, that's all she has.
She's a girl, and then we get the big reveal at the end of, oh, she's pregnant. They're building a family, so they got over whatever nonsense that they like.
How funny is it that he had so little faith in their acting abilities that he pulled the camera all the way back for the pregnancy reveal?
We're done.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even going to try to perform this part.
Done.
We'll just do it from afar.
We'll see you. You're on the stoop. You're at the end of the street. You come together. We're done.
I will say, like, there are certain parts of this that I remember from the first time, but it's always like, it's the Final Destination stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the idea that these are, you know, clever and fun. But yeah, like just really misplaced dark shit. Like the guy that lies down and like gets himself like basically eaten by a lawnmower.
Oh my God, the worst.
Yeah.
The one that got eaten by the lions was worse for me.
Oh, that's just cheesy and dumb. I'm sorry. Like
that's a terrible way to die.
Like, arms don't work that way.
Where he's wandering around with obviously like prosthetic arms.
It was very Monty Python.
Yes.
You know?
It felt like a Monty Python sketch.
Totally.
Or like the device used multiple times of like the gun changing hand over and over and over again.
I think could have worked in a better sense.
But if he didn't do it 3 times,
I think he would need to do it more times. Actually, like it would
you
have
just
to
do it that
going.
one time properly. But see, the problem is that okay, and this is going into the okay. You needed to actually think this through. So the cop sits there. He's suddenly, you know, he shoots. The gun should drop on the front of the frame. But what it does is that the cop falls down and then the camera finds the gun. Then somebody else picks it up and then they drop. And then it finds the gun again.
Right. It should be following the gun.
It should be following the gun every fucking time.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like
the cinematography sucks.
No, I think it was the direction.
The director sucks.
That's a direction.
No, everything sucks in this movie. Like
everything sucks.
Except Betty Buckley. I want to talk about Betty Buckley because she is so good in her 2 scenes.
You came here to rob me.
That's the one that actually disturbs me the most because she is so unnerving when she kills herself by smashing her head against
really scary.
Yeah.
And that is solid. That woman can act. She is also in Split, the one that is like clearly trying to give a damn good performance, even though it doesn't fit in a movie like that.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was such a tiny role.
Yeah.
And it makes it even funnier that she's giving this genuinely horrifying, unhinged performance.
She is the only one.
Like when she slaps the kid, that is a moment of like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And there is no reaction between other than just like, all right. But that should garner like we're not feeling safe here.
We don't really have any other option, but we're stuck with this option, right?
Which leads to, again, the best single line of this entire movie when she accuses him of like stealing and murdering, and he goes, "What? No." And that just sweet, innocent, like, what? No. Like he's a 12-year-old that just got caught like stealing liquor from the cabinet.
You know what it is? That's what his performance is. It's like
it's a teenager.
No, it's not even that. It's like the kids that make their own movies before they get out of high school, and he's the friend that the kid put in the movie, even though he can't act.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
What? No.
That scene where he's trying to convince the guy who's barricaded himself in his own house to come out. Yeah. And he's like, look, I'm talking completely normal. And then
what was that? Why did he start singing?
Random,
why is he
singing?
No, he starts singing a song.
Normal, bro.
Why does he start singing? Why is his first thought, I'm trying to prove I'm not crazy, so I'm going to sing a song out of nowhere?
Because frozen people don't sing songs? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
and now I've let it go in my head. Way to go, Bryce.
I was about to say it. You beat me to it.
Yeah, I think it's also because they didn't define. So the first setup is people freeze, and then the thing sets.
You get incoherent, right?
Oh yeah, and then you get incoherent,
but not all of them.
But not
and then
all of them.
You rack your brain for the most creative way to kill yourself ever.
The gardener is hanging from trees is a great shot.
So gross.
He did too much hanging from trees. There were a lot of people hanging from trees.
But honestly, like, hanging is probably or like asphyxiation via plastic bag would probably be how most people would go.
The jumping off thing is the easiest, and that is why I think it's so horrifying. But it's also he's
and so evocative.
He's trading in a lot of very loaded imagery, and he knows it, and that's also why I'm kind of like, dude, really?
Well, and that's why I don't believe that it's supposed to be like a B movie exploitation. Like,
no,
because
you don't spend $60 million making a bad B movie.
Right.
I'm
but
sorry.
you also have to have a tongue-in-cheek approach that is back to the Final Destination movies.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they're so beloved, and that's why there's so many of them.
And so funny.
Because
ridiculous.
even though the deaths are horrible, they're clever and over the top, and like,
but I think he thought,
nothing you have to.
I think
nothing that makes you think of your like friend in high school who killed himself.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that is, it's, if you have anyone in your life who has ever committed suicide, it's a problem.
Exactly.
I will say, I think I know that this movie was made much, much later, but I think he thought he was making something along the lines of what Bird Box was.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Bird Box did this much more successfully. And they did it much more successfully because there's not a single moment of levity in that movie. It is just dark.
I think
and it takes it very seriously when these people die.
Yeah.
There is really no moment to, like, nobody in the movie, even though all these people are killing themselves, is all that sad about it because they're all too busy running away, except that one mother.
Yeah. Well, also going back to Stephen King, who, you know, we can also have a Stephen King podcast.
We should.
Stephen King's, when characters die in Stephen King's books, they're so effective because one of Stephen King's talents is not ending books, but in capturing an entire person in like 2 paragraphs. Like 2 paragraphs.
Very good descriptor.
Definitely not ending books.
He gives enough details so you really care about them. So even if you don't have time, their deaths really hit you.
And that's more, I think, the problem with this is that, I mean, the reason why I don't even know their names is because they're not characters. It's Marky Mark and Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
yes, it is.
And the poor kid who can't act her way out of a bag, but it's not her fault because what was she given to work with?
You don't feel any sort of emotion towards their relationship failing. Like, or possibly failing at that moment.
You're not rooting for them.
You're not rooting for them. You have no desire for them to get together.
You never get a moment to see them happy.
No.
So why would you care that their relationship is ending when you've never
not
seen
till the end? Not till she's like pregnant. You're like, oh, that's nice. Good for them.
For me though, I think it's
that's just the hormones.
My big problem is the people not reacting to the fact that people around them are dying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like how if they're not bothered by it,
why should I care?
Exactly.
Yeah. It
From
seems
the very
more...
opening scene when they're like sitting in the park and that girl stabs herself in the neck, and it's just like blank. It's blank. This whole movie is very blank. And I don't like that like blankness across the board.
Well, and even the reaction and even like people's reaction to the tragedy is I need to get away.
Yes.
Like,
it's just like, oh my God. I'm just like, not engaging.
It's a really selfish movie.
It's very selfish. You're right. It's like disengaged.
Another one, it's not quite the same, but Cloverfield. Every time somebody dies in Cloverfield, you feel it. Like you know that these people were people that had other people that cared about them.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like every single person in this movie,
some odd minutes setting them up, and they have their own lives and relationships.
Right.
And then the event happens. It doesn't start with the event.
The better version of this movie is The Mist, where anytime anybody dies, it's such a blow.
It's super
Why do
brutal.
you guys watch these movies? This sounds miserable.
No. The
All
Mist.
of it is just shit.
The Mist.
I don't want to have anything to do with these.
I saw that we should do The Mist at some point, but I saw The Mist.
I don't think you guys are going to make it through it. It's
okay. Well, then I'm going to talk about it now because The Mist. The story does not end the way that the movie does.
It's pretty happy. It's pretty hopeful.
You do not know going into that movie, or at least I didn't because I saw a preview screening of it. You don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And that did exactly the opposite of what this movie did, where it stomped on your heart after it had torn it out of your chest, and then it put it back in your chest and pulled it out again and started stomping on it one more time for fun.
Oh,
I don't need any pain in my life from my entertainment like venues. I have enough.
And that is fair, but it is a good movie.
It is
that causes pain because it's effective.
This
is a bad movie that causes you pain because
it's bad.
It wants
one
to.
of you.
It wants.
We're
to
gonna
cause
get
you
back
pain.
to the bottom of this. Who actually said the words? Let's watch The Happening.
I don't think we can this is not a blame game,
No,
right?
no.
I feel like
I don't think there's any point. I think this was like collective madness.
I feel like it might have been me.
That's the
but
theme
I
of the
think
movie.
it was collective madness. I don't think there's any
I
point.
think what happened. I will own this.
Shyamalan movie I've seen is which one did I watch?
I like how Alex's cleavage is talking to us. Right now.
Why are we talking your boobs, Alex?
Sorry.
No, ma'am, we're not. What? No.
I was getting up to get something.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I may have said we should do The Village and then stopped and said, or we could do The Happening, which is really bad. I'm pretty sure I did that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But to be fair,
I'm gonna bring secret cat hair with me next time I see you.
Even
which I do anyway all the time.
Even after watching through this whole thing, I still actually honestly prefer this. I would watch this over The Village. And you know
my
why?
God, I actually am the opposite. I would watch The Village
because it's 91 minutes,
and
I don't have to think about it.
The Village makes me incredibly angry.
Yes,
that one, like this one, doesn't make me angry.
The twist.
I've only seen
so
The Village
dumb.
once.
This
is the second time I saw The Happening. I don't want to add
I
numbers.
will tell you, I saw The Village on an airplane, and that's the only time I've seen The Village was on an airplane. And I feel like a lot of these kind of bad movies benefit from being 3 inches wide
on a plane.
It's true. Accompanied by unlimited alcohol.
See, every time I watch a movie on a plane, I sob my face off.
I cry so much
recycled air
because it's the elevation.
I cry so much. I feel so much stronger about a movie if I watch it on a plane.
Because the plane is so boring. So when you actually see emotion on a TV screen,
and it's like right in front of you, but also really small. And there's
and also there's a stranger next to you, so it's really a great opportunity to embarrass yourself.
Everybody's sweat and like
guys,
all
I think
those
they're
kinds
actually
of, like, pheromones.
I think they actually
in the
did
air.
something that said like at a higher elevation, you are more likely to get emotional. I think there actually is some science.
I think your like blood pressure is really high or something, and you just are just on the cusp of emotional like breakthroughs all the time.
I just get really
I think I've said this before. I've written like
planes.
notes to my family members about what I think of them in case I go down in flames on the plane.
You think the notes are going to survive?
Like I tuck it in my bra.
Helen and Bryce turn into me when you get on an airplane.
Yeah, no, I'm an emotional wreck. I'm like such a mess.
I actually shrink like 6 inches. It's crazy.
You watch romantic comedies and you're like, wait, maybe I had this wrong.
I do. I watch like the most random, like crazy, unlike me shit. We were on a flight back from Greece once, and the flight attendant gave us, what did he give us, Alex? Like pear brandy or something?
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, I think so.
Because he was like, you're having a time. Have some pear brandy.
No, wasn't amazing. That when I was coming back from Berlin and I had just run the marathon?
Alex had run the marathon. We were on the plane with like our 2 elderly parents. The flight attendant was like,
"Girl,
you need this." Pear brandy. Yeah. I was like, I'm drinking pear brandy. This is great. Yeah. And cognac.
So, okay,
and I
here's
just
the
like
question.
stock up on the little shooters and watch absolute craziness.
Would this be improved if you watched it on
I think it would. I think it would.
No.
Okay.
No, I will not test this out under.
Although I will say, I choose not to watch. I don't watch serious movies on airplanes. I watch comedies and I watch kids movies because they just are easier to digest.
I've been doing that more lately, but there was a point where I watched like There Will Be Blood on the plane.
Oh hell no!
And
that's so weird.
Snot cried.
Yeah.
That was when I learned the secret of watching A Star Is Born for the 4th or 5th time that I watched it, where I just stop the movie before it gets sad.
So you missed the entire point.
Like, this is a plane movie. I can't be sad on a plane. I just stop it.
You turn into me on a plane. We sweat.
I just listen to podcasts and watch the plane move slowly across the map.
Oh, you
sounds like the most painfully boring thing of all time.
So here's the thing. I have talked with other people about this. I get a lot of comfort and joy of watching the GPS slowly move to the destination, and I enjoy that a lot more than like whatever.
Are you kidding me?
Oh,
okay, but Randall,
that would be like my ADHD is itching just for you saying that.
Randall is so anxious on a plane that he's also like 6 drinks in, so he can't do anything but watch
the little plane because otherwise I freak out.
I have my cell phone out. I play games. I watch movies.
Unless Helen and I are on a plane together,
Alex
then
and
we'll watch.
if we're on a flight together, we synchronize our movie watching. Which has got to be
Oh,
the most annoying
that's so
thing for
cute.
everybody
I
around
love it.
us.
No, I saw a couple doing that on a plane once,
like
and
it.
that was adorable. No, I'm
We
favorite.
like
Storyline and
do
stereo on a plane.
Storyline and stereo on
That's
a
so
plane.
great.
No, and even if we're in
Everybody
separate
around.
seats on the same plane, we'll be like texting or like messaging each other, being like, "Okay, stop
All
at
right,
this
ready
point.
now.
Go."
The last few times I was on a plane, I had to work, so
Yeah, most of my experience of like having shared media is like I would be on a plane and I'd be watching some comedy I've literally seen like 9,000 times because it's just noise at that point.
Mhm.
While I can watch in the little picture-in-picture the plane move. like slowly across the entirety of the Midwest.
It would make it go so much slower to do that.
No, because then I can actually measure.
I do
it's
my
like,
podcasts.
we're over Des Moines now, so it's only like 2 more hours that I have to do this.
But then you look away and you look back 10 minutes later thinking you've gone so far and you're still in Des Moines.
You would say that I have a concept of time at this point, but the most uncomfortable one was the guy sitting next to me was watching like basically flat out like porn. There was some movie that just was like full frontal nudity, and he's just like casually watching it, and I'm just like, So I'm like watching my movie, but I can't help but look over, and there's just like dong and boob.
Oh gosh!
And I was just like, I don't really feel good about any of this, because you can't not, like, it's just there. And then it's just like, well, I can't now. And now he's looking at me and I'm looking at him. He knows he's watching this movie. And it's just like, are you getting off on this? Oh, I gotta not pay attention to you. And then I order more drinks because I'm already like high strung.
Okay.
But we've been talking about planes for like the last
I was going to say, we're so done.
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about with the
plane movies.
I did want to say like one last thing. So yes, obviously this didn't hold up beforehand, and I don't think it holds up now. But I do want to mention the fact that there are all these think pieces saying that it is a secret, this secret like B movie or good.
I saw
kind
that
of thing.
too, and I do not agree. I think it's like revisionist history.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. No,
it's crap.
Yeah.
Those are apologists.
I think you
should
can
stop
enjoy it.
apologizing for this movie.
Yes,
you can
stop
enjoy
trying
it.
to make up for it.
Yeah.
Don't listen to 30-year-old white dudes with beards when they talk about this movie.
I think you can enjoy it as a bad movie.
Yes.
But that's on you.
I think you need to watch it in a room with other people so you can have Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of thing.
Or you can have brunch and you forget
find
to watch the
something
movie.
to do while you're watching it.
Like if
because
we still
otherwise
had
you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
If we still had bad movie nights, I would do this one as a bad movie night, and I think it would be very successful.
And then we'd play Settlers of Catan, and you'd be like, "Oh, is it over already?"
We'd play a board game.
Some Stone for Sheep.
I'd eat popcorn.
Then you have the drinking game of every time.
you'd have to have a drinking game.
Marky
every
Mark
time
asks a question, you
Every
have to
time
drink.
Marky asks a question,
we would get so drunk.
And every time Zooey Deschanel says, "I don't like to express my emotion," everybody drinks.
Or does her weird like eye movement rolling thing she does?
No, that was just her reaction to M. Night Shyamalan telling her what to do.
I imagine like off screen, he's like, all right, now look over there. Now do this. Now look confused. You know.
One positive thing I will say,
No.
I really liked her wide cuff jeans in that kind of like
her dresses are always cute.
Her outfits were really
I assume
cute.
she just brings her own wardrobe, honestly.
I think so.
I think she must have a stylist who knows and is just on. I mean, kudos to that person. But other than that, irredeemable.
I did want to mention one thing. His supposed like, I don't know, wedding ring, mood ring thing.
Oh my god, so lame.
It's so lame.
Why?
Literally right before
Why?
they
right before they explain it, we were talking about how like stupid this movie was.
I don't even
And I
remember
was
this.
like, they made that big deal about that mood ring in that
The
like
mood
first
ring.
scene when he's leaving his apartment, and we don't even find out what the point of that was.
No.
That's why I forgot about
And
it.
then
'cause
they
never go
explain
back
it.
to it.
And I was like, oh god, I hate it even
Right,
more.
'cause
They explain it.
I must have been in the kitchen when they explained it.
Oh god, I hate it even more is basically the summary of this movie.
Yeah.
He gives it to the kids in that one scene, and then he's just like threatening them. He's like, all right, that means a lot to me, so give that back.
Wait, but what did it mean?
No, it didn't mean anything.
It was
just
from
like-
their
done it
first
for her at
date.
the
It was from their
carnival.
first date, and she was really quiet. So I'm so angry that I have to explain this, Dana.
I was in the kitchen. I was making dinner. I missed this
He
part.
got the mood ring as like kind of like jokey way of diffusing the situation. So because she wasn't being very communicative, he got the mood ring to be like, oh, how are you feeling about this whole
Yeah, and
date?
it turns out purple, and that means horny or something like that.
So that's how she expresses her
Oh,
emotion.
it was just so bad.
Horniness?
Literally, all she had to do is say that's how she expresses her emotion. is
I'm
through the
not
mood ring.
good at talking about feelings.
Exactly. That's how she expresses her
I
emotion.
know this about me. I don't say it out loud all that often. If you want to have like an emotional conversation with me, do it over text or
Yeah, that's fair.
email. Like, it's just gonna be messy.
I'm very much a Chandler in that I will joke my way out of
Oh, absolutely.
emotional conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just don't have emotions. It makes me simpler.
And this is why I am always by myself in these podcasts.
I thought I was gonna have a lot more. I remember this being a lot more fun than it was. I still
do
didn't
I.
have fun at certain parts. God, that when he just goes, "What? No!" it's
Oh my God. It's
laugh
so
out
bad.
loud funny. Like, I went back after we watched this movie and just watched clips of that on YouTube.
Nice.
Because it's fucking hilarious. It's like,
Bee-Butt, save the bees. If this movie teaches you
just
nothing
cut that
else,
into other movies.
save the bees.
Save the bees. Damn the Empire.
Yeah, damn the Empire. I'm just gonna cut him saying what? No, like constantly.
What? No.
That's gonna be your teaser for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just
the 10-hour clip of what now?
sprinkle it throughout. Every time that you say it, every time that one of us says it, just insert Marky Mark saying it.
What? No.
It's so
There was no
great.
song to take us out in on this stupid movie.
It's got to be something about plants.
Is there a plant movie?
Or trees.
Or song?
Something about, there's got to be tree songs.
I don't know.
Tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree.
Oh,
That's,
God.
what you
That's
have
a
to close
really
this out on.
weird.
It's a tree
Like
song.
it's
Domain,
about death.
probably.
It's a
You
tree
could play
plus
the whole
death.
song to close out the episode.
Wait.
I was gonna say, if you're gonna end this on anything,
Songs about trees.
Isn't there like a Plastic Trees Radiohead song?
Oh yeah,
oh,
fake plastic trees.
Yeah, there you
go.
Yeah, fake plastic trees or Black Horse and a Cherry Tree.
Or O Tannenbaum.
God, guys, we're really stretching.
We're really,
here.
really
we're
stretching
really
it.
reaching.
The only
All right,
thing
we're
I
done.
was thinking of is just like, all right, if we're gonna end this thing, it's just gonna be on something really nonsensical, because this whole movie is nonsensical.
Yep.
Yep.
So it hurts.
But I'll still go see his next one. Can't help it.
Not gonna do it.
Book
I'm
is
done.
good, y'all. The book isn't even that good.
But
only-
it's Jonathan Groff. It's Jonathan Groff, and I have
Who's the next one? What
Knock
is it?
on the door.
It's Jonathan Groff and
something in the
his very
cabin,
handsome
something?
husband, who have a little Asian daughter, and then they have 4 people come to their cabin and tell them that they have to kill one of the 3 of them to end
Oh, I saw the ad for that.
No, thank you.
No.
I read the book.
Nope.
Based on that alone, I'm gonna not recommend.
I'm a glutton for punishment. I will always, it's him and Tarantino, if we're going to talk about them in the same breath again. I always go see their movies. Most of the time, I hate myself afterwards.
I don't mind
don't.
Tarantino movies as
No.
much as I
I fucking hate Tarantino.
You know when his editor
was-
died?
We're still recording.
I feel dirty
Yeah.
coming out of Tarantino.
Yeah.
Tarantino's
No, when-
dirty. Yeah.
When
I think
his
that's the
editor
point.
died,
Yeah.
his films got increasingly worse. She's
That's
been
because that was the only woman in his life who continued to talk to him and like
and not show her
and
feet.
not show her his feet. Yeah.
That's fair. Ruff, ruff, ruff.
What? No.